Hi, I'm Ralph. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we are doing a recipe for one of my longtime subscribers, Paul from Australia. He wanted some help making a recipe from his dad. Now, he didn't actually send me the recipe, so I'm going to assume that my beef stew recipe is not the same as his, but the thing he really had issue was with the dumplings. Beef stew and dumplings. I'd never heard of it. I'm imagining that maybe a lot of people in America have never heard of it, but I looked it up and sure enough, it's an old English recipe that actually predates chicken and dumplings. Chicken and dumplings did not come along until the 1800s. Beef stew and dumplings came out during the 1600s. So this is an old established English recipe. With that said, let's get started. I'm over here with my Dutch oven. I'm going to start browning up the beef. Why don't you all come over and join me here? How's that? Perfect. Little adjustment. Great. Now I've got roughly 1.5 pounds of chuck steak in here. This is actually browning up quite nicely. Okay, to this browned meat, I'm going to be adding about 1/4 cup of flour. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now, I'm going to pull this meat out. Now I'm pulling some of this beef out so that I can take advantage of the fond that is forming on the bottom of the pan. And I'm going to use that to caramelize my onions in. Now the recipe calls for a full onion, sweet onion. This is 1/2 an onion, and that looks like an awful lot to me. So I'm going to probably put in about 1/2 of a half and start caramelizing that up. Okay, now I'm going to start putting that beef back in. Okay, I'm going to start putting in some other ingredients, such as 2 teaspoons of tomato paste, teaspoon of minced garlic. Going to add in 3 cups of beef broth. Going to add about 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. In addition, I'm putting a little bit more than 3/4 cup of wine. Now, if you don't want to use wine, just use additional beef broth. I had this left over from another recipe that I did a little bit earlier. I'm going to add some carrots, about 1/4 cup of frozen peas, and yes, frozen does work better. And now I'm adding about 4 Yukon Gold potatoes, all cubed up. You want to make sure that the liquid is covering all of the meat in there and most of the vegetables here. Then we're going to be simmering this for about the next 1.5 hours. Now, if you have a lot of ingredients in there and you're not covering everything up, considering adding a little bit more beef broth or maybe a little bit more water if you don't have any beef broth left, we will start work on the dumplings. So catch y'all in just a moment. We're back, and it's time to start making the dumplings for the beef stew. So let's get started. First, I've got 2 bowls here, one for the dry ingredients. I have already put in 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm adding in some baking powder, some kosher salt, and a little touch of thyme. We're going to whisk the dry ingredients together. Then over here we have the wet ingredients, starting with 2 large eggs, 1 cup of sour cream, half a cup of whole milk. And we're going to start blending that together. The sour cream has already started to make that a little bit thicker. So now we are going to gradually add in the dry mixture. You don't want to do it all at once because you don't want it to get all lumpy. Okay, so this is what it's looking like so far. It's nice and thick, and in a few minutes here we're going to start dropping spoonfuls of it into the beef stew. Now it's time for the part that I have never ever actually done before, and that's putting the dumplings on top of the stew. The beef stew is looking really good. I've already tried some of the meat, the potatoes, the carrots. Everything is nice and tender. Let's see if I can put the dumplings on without screwing it up. But basically, we're just looking for little spoonfuls, little dollops that get dropped in. Now after we have them all in, we're going to be putting the lid on and basically steaming them for the next 30 minutes. See if I can squeeze a little bit more in here, because I don't want this dumpling mix to go to waste. Okay, lid on, timer set, 30 minutes at simmer, and we will be right back to see how this turns out. See you then. Okay, we're done. I've just taken it off the cooktop to make sure that the dumplings are done. Take a toothpick, stick them into one of the dumplings, pull it out. If it comes out clean, they're done. Now, how to get this out? This is looking really good. Let me give you a nice close-up here. Okay, here's a big chunk of potato. Probably about to burn the dookies out of my mouth here. Very tender and very hot, but very tender, very good. How about some of that meat? That's heavenly. Let me show you something on this meat. Ooh, that's hot, hot, hot. But see how easily, yeah, that pulls apart and stays hot. And let's try the dumpling. Extremely fluffy inside. Let me see if I can kind of pull one out, give you a view of what it looks like here. Look at that. That is very nice. That came out just perfect. I'll tell you what, I think that this came out awesome. I'm about to enjoy it. My wife's about to enjoy it with me. I think Gunner's gonna enjoy parts of it, but I'm giving him the raw stuff from before, like the carrots and things like that. I think you're gonna enjoy this, so if you liked the video, hit the like button down below, maybe leave me a comment. That's how I got this recipe idea, was a comment from Paul in Australia. And I love your comments. I try to read and respond to as many as possible. Consider a subscription. With that said, I will catch y'all the next time. Bye-bye.